7 o'clock on Monday night. You know what that means? It's time to talk Lorcana.
Woohoo, we're here.
Y'all, it has been...
You just said y'all.
I know.
You're so a Texan now.
I've been here too long. Y'all, it has been a heck of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little different live stream for us tonight. You know, normally we love connecting with community members, bringing a whole bunch of people in. I mean, to be honest, we did not have time.
Yeah,
this week.
We've kind of been like on the road for almost 2 weeks, 10 days straight, I think.
That's true with a newborn.
With
And so for those who aren't tracking what we've been up to, we did Miami TCG Con last weekend. If you watched last week's show, you saw that we had a big recap there. We may talk a little bit more about it tonight. But after that, we were on such a high. We got back Monday night. We finally got home. We sat down in our bedrooms and said, you know what? We need to go to LightBox. We've been talking about going for ages. So we bought tickets and we went out to LightBox to see the Lorcana and some Lorcana artists out there. Did a pit stop at Disneyland, and we're going to talk all about that. We've got some wonderful photos from LightBox. We want to show you all some behind the scenes, some concept art, and some photos of that convention. Because for those who are into the art and design of the game, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it was such a cool experience to get to learn some of the process behind creating the artwork and creating the cards, and meet some people that we didn't know about before this weekend. So to meet more artists that actually worked on chapter 1 that we hadn't known about just yet. So that was actually kind of cool. Yeah,
we have some great stories. We may have a surprise guest join us halfway through the show. We may have some other surprises throughout the show. I don't know. You'll have to stay tuned.
I mean, you do know. You're just trying to tease it out.
I know. But we'll have some other surprises. And then I think at the end of the show, we have a giveaway. We've loaded up our Twitter giveaway. So we'll be giving away a signed card near the end of the show. We're really excited. I did want to start. I really wanted to start out, though, by giving a shout out to somebody else in the community, a couple people in the community.
Yeah. Do I get to give the shout out?
You can give the shout out and then I'll tell a story.
Oh, okay. We wanted to give a huge thank you to Live Laugh Lorcana for all of the absolutely amazing things that you said about us on the podcast this week. We were the featured content creators on their podcast. If you haven't heard the most recent episode, definitely go check that out everywhere you get your podcasts. But we were so honored and flattered and
here's so
amazing.
You know, this is not. I know this sounds like a quid pro quo thing, but it's not. For those who've never tried content creation before, it's not easy, and sometimes it can be. It can be tough. It takes a lot of work. You know, you put stuff out there and you have no idea. You absolutely have no idea sometimes who sees it, who watches it. You put out videos, they get 10 views. It's kind of a bummer. But this morning I woke up. You know, I was up until 2 a.m. trying to edit our Miami TCG Con video, which is still not out. It was my first day of work after 2 months of paternity leave. And so I'm getting ready to head to the office, and I get a little notification, and it was from, that Live Laugh Lorcana had mentioned us. And so I listened to it on the way in, and what they said about us was really heartwarming, and it almost made me cry on the way to the office. And it meant a lot. So thanks for that. Yeah, appreciate it. Anyway, back to the stream. All right. I want to start out by talking about LightBox.
Yeah, and just another kind of disclosure for this week. You're going to be welcome to our lives. Normally, when she kind of starts making noises, I scurry off camera. We're going to kind of let it go and let she loses it. And the first kind of moment of that is I am off to do a diaper change really fast while Liam starts the LightBox update. So I will be back shortly.
Yeah. So I have a lot of pictures I want to share with you all from LightBox. This is a fun one from Miami. Actually, I'll talk about this in a second. But we are fortunate. We know that we get to travel a little bit. We have jobs that allow us to take some time off, and every chance we get to go to a conference with, anybody from Ravensburger, anybody from the community, we feel very fortunate. We want to bring you along with us as much as we can. So we take as many photos and videos as we can. I want to share some of those with you. The first one I wanted to share, though, was this one, as I have to mention, for those who aren't familiar with what this particular card means, when Lorcana was announced ages ago and the wardrobe was revealed as a card, DJ Mean, I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, but created a Lorcana wardrobe Twitter account and began creating the best the best memes and gifs and pictures, and it was hilarious. And we found out later on that Julia, the artist, actually saw this and followed the account and really, really enjoyed seeing her art come to life in this weird way. And so she wanted to work with us, or, she wanted to get this card to DJ. And since we were stateside, we offered to send it. So this card went off to him as a thank you for, making all of our lives a little bit brighter and entertaining the original artist and bringing her art to life. So anyway, it's just delightful. Let's move on. So that was another Miami TCG Con photo. I did, this is one quick shout out I wanted to give, Hobbies and Happiness. They make some outstanding merch. I bought this t-shirt a while ago. We love supporting our other Lorcana content creators. They're a fantastic channel. So the first thing I did at Lightbox was break out their t-shirt and make sure I shouted them out. So just a little plug from there because it's really comfortable, to be quite honest. So one of the great things about so for those who aren't familiar with Lightbox, it's about 5 or 6 years old. It's an industry conference, mostly out in California. It's an offshoot / competitor to CTN, which is another industry conference for artists. And it's a fantastic experience if you're into art at all. In some ways, if you're not an artist, you feel kind of like an outsider because there's a lot of industry insider stuff going on. But even though there's organizations there trying to recruit artists, doing portfolio reviews, demonstrations. Sorry, Matt, I see your note about the delay. I'm not sure why that is or what I can do about it other than talk slower. But let's turn this off, turn this back on. All right, maybe that fixed it. But it's an industry conference, and in addition to all of that stuff going on, so artists set up, with an exhibition hall, and you have everybody from like really experienced artists to former directors of Disney films to brand new artists, displaying their work, and it's really it's really delightful. So this is Bill Robinson, also known as Film Flammery. He's one of the artists that we got to see. He's a Lorcana artist there. Move on to the next photo. Here's another Lorcana artist who happened to be there. This is Jake Parker with his son. We got to chat with him. He signed a few cards. Another
little known fact about his son.
I don't think I loaded the picture. I did my best, Matt. Sorry about that. I'll try it again if it gets too bad. This is nobody. All right, you have to tell me in the chat if you get this reference. But I freaked out because I saw in Jake's son's book that he was selling. There's this scroll of truth meme where the first frame is somebody look for the scroll of truth and then they find it and then they read it. And I've seen it all over the place, but apparently nobody else has. But Jake's son created that meme, and so of course I bought the book and had him sign it because
Liam was very excited.
I'm a nerd. But yeah, it was great meeting Jake Parker and chatting with him a little bit. He was very, very busy, very successful. Yes, that's the one, Franz. Highlight this comment. Franz knows the meme. Somebody else we wanted to mention was Vicky Z. We did this thing as set 2 cards were revealed. Every time we saw a new artist, we went into the Lightbox gallery and we went down through the list of artists to try to find artists who were there that we weren't tracking before. Because we had a feeling, as we were walking around that room, we were passing all sorts of Lorcana artists who were not revealed yet. But yes. And sure enough, we kept finding them.
Well, yes. And, it was, I think, confirmed, even though in a very kind of sleuthy way, that there were probably more artists there than we knew about.
That is true. A bunch of covert Lorcana artists that somebody tipped us off on that they were there.
They were there. They didn't tip us off who they were.
We were like,
they were like, there were more Lorcana artists here than you know about.
That's true. So. They're everywhere. But so what was delightful about meeting Vicky, she's credited with 1 card. I think she's only worked on 1.
It's a dual credit.
It's a dual credit. She did Prince Charming, I think, in Rise of the Floodborn. And what was amazing is we went to talk to her briefly and commented on her card and how much loved it and how great it was. And she said to us, do you know, that was my first professional job, like ever. Like still a student. Ravensburger contacted her, had her do a card, And she said, yeah, that was my first job, was doing this Lorcana card. And we said, well, we hope you get many more. Congratulations. That's incredible. So one day I'm so excited to meet Vicky again and have her sign her Rise of the Floodborn card.
Yeah, yeah. Prince Charming is the card she's dual credited on. And as Liam said, she was such a sweet person. Brand new, which is something that we're seeing, I think Ravensburger doing is giving some of these brand new artists like their first chance. And I love that because, not only are they partnering with veteran artists, people like John Lauren and Nick Cole, but also just giving these artists, their start and a great opportunity. I feel what I am gathering in the art world is like, you don't get your first job until you have your first job and type of thing, which I think a lot of professions experience. And so it's just really great to see Ravensburger reaching out and trusting these people and giving them a chance to really shine. So yeah, it was great to meet Vicky. She was very sweet.
It's fantastic. And just like every, Lorcana artist you meet, just the most wonderful, nicest person.
Once again, we walked away and we're like, she's so nice.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. What do we have next? A few more photos.
I don't know. You did the slideshow with that.
I do, very last minute. This is a fun one. So we did go to the Ravensburger booth, and for this conference, what they're really focused on is recruiting new artists, doing portfolio reviews, and even throughout some of their demos, coaching artists on how they can become part of the Ravensburger team, or even just improve their craft to one day be a better concept artist, etc. So there were several members of the Shame here. Edgar was here, the only art director for set 1. And then you have Shane. Yeah, Matthew Ang, another art director who
on the left.
On the left, back to us. And then you have Shane Hartley in the center, towering over everybody. As usual. Yes, Brandon, we also want some of those shirts and jackets one day.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the sleeves.
And then the hat. Oh, the hat. I want the hat.
Look at the sleeves. They've got the symbols up and down the left side.
I know, the hats are so posh.
It's so cool.
The one Shane's wearing, it has like a Ravensburger logo back here and like the most beautiful embroidered Lorcana logo on the front. It's so pretty. I want it.
Oh, and it sounds like we're getting from inside that the Lorcana team just got those week. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Lorcana had the Lorcana team had their big get together, their summit, where all the Lorcana team, who a lot of them work remotely, all got together in the office in Seattle to kind of meet and hang out and share information. And so I'm guessing that these hoodies were part of that event.
Yeah, Edgar had, we chatted with him. You actually could see Elena and I there in the background chatting with Edgar. He's the blue shirt kind of on the right. He had just as long of a week as we did. He was in Miami, flew from Miami to Seattle for this summit, and then flew from Seattle to LA for LightBox. So he was also a world traveler this week.
So cool. And getting confirmation that those were for the summit, which is amazing, an amazing way to commemorate that for the team, I'm sure. And, to have something from that meeting. And the team, unfortunately, at LightBox had to leave a little bit early, I think, in order to come down for this. So I think they did miss the last couple of days. But there's somebody else in the photo here who we have to mention, who I hope Erin remembers his name off the top of her head, because I always forget. Anybody see who it is? Anybody identify it?
Or should I just reveal who it is?
You should probably reveal who it is.
Gentleman in the baseball cap and the beard, kind of standing to the left of Matthew, is Aaron Blaze. And we got to meet him. He is actually the director of Brother Bear. Additionally, he was the animator on Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and several other Disney films before becoming a director. And so he stopped by the booth. He had a booth at LightBox himself, but he stopped by Ravensburger's booth to chat with Shane. It was really cool to see. Shane was kind of showing him villainous and talk, some of the characters that Erin had created. And that was just a really, really cool interaction. And Edgar was so sweet to point Erin out to us and encourage us to introduce ourselves, which I was more than happy to do. So yeah, that was a really cool thing to get to do, was meet the director of Brother Bear.
Yeah, it was really neat. We have seen several times, both with Peter Raimondo in Miami and then here. It's really fascinating. We've been privileged to see a few times some of the old guard, the Disney animators who originated these characters, get to meet some of the new artists and the people bringing these characters like forward and kind of evolving them in some ways. And it was just fascinating watching them talk about the art of the cards and everything else.
Yeah.
We loved it so much. Loved it so much. I have to say, and we'll say it, throughout this, that the Ravensburger team is always just fantastic and hospitable, and they put up with us hanging around the time. And they're just all amazing.
Yeah.
Which is so fun. Anyway,
it's like we walk up to the booth and they're like, "Oh, you again?"
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, all right, this is so fun." Okay, so one of the things that Ravensburger was doing to try to connect with some of the artists who are just starting out, they did 3 different demonstrations at the convention on concept art, and how with Lorcana concept artists, to go through how that artist takes a brief and creates art that then can be shown to the Disney team. To the Disney team as a proof of concept before that art gets handed off to the card artist to finish. Some artists will take the concept all the way through to completion. For example, Nicholas Cole. So, by the way, everything we're saying here was said publicly in this forum, and we checked to make sure we could talk about it. But like Nicholas Cole, for example, often takes the concept all the way through to completion. But then there's other artists who, either because they're super busy and they're finishing a bunch of cards, or for whatever reason, will get handed concepts to then finish. And then there's a lot of artists who work purely on the concept side, either because they're just really, really fast at concept work for cards, or because that's their specialty. They just do concepts, and for that reason, a lot of them aren't credited on final cards. Thanks to the chatbots. They aren't credited on final cards. So there's this whole roster of artists, some of whom are credited on cards, some of whom aren't, who work behind the scenes on these pieces. And what we're looking at right now is a version of Hades that is based on the brief for Infernal Schemer, which is Matthew Robert Davies' final legendary Sapphire Hades. And this was a piece that we watched him work on. Actually, he pretty much did this from scratch, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, they would kind of start with the brief. Yeah. I mean, it was the whole process within an hour. It was really fascinating to watch them start with a blank piece of paper, the brief. They kind of would, walk us through how they pulled references and that sort of thing. And then they would go through creating the card while simultaneously answering questions from the audience. So it was really cool to watch.
Yeah. And so not only the artist, but then also Shane or Matthew were there for all the briefings, and they give us all sorts of information. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I could go on and on and on about the details and the process and how many approvals and Disney and yada yada. But yeah, it was very neat.
I'll say, and I'm not sure about this one, but it was also cool comment about the final about the final card art. These concept artists who were doing this were not the concept artists who worked on that card in the game. So at least on the Friday demonstration, the concept artist for the Friday demonstration did concept art for chapter 1. But in the demonstration, he did Captain Hook concept art.
That is true. This one was Hades, though. He did the Hades art.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. No, but that's Aaron. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Then the first day he worked on a concept they didn't actually do for the game. So anyway,
which in that case was really cool, seeing him get the concept. He didn't have
and just go.
Yeah, a preconceived notion of what the card was supposed to be like.
That's true. And in this case, was it this is Sam Nielsen, I think, right? This is Sam Nielsen. Actually worked on this card, and he took art that he'd done for the concept and then finish it off. So what is neat too is a lot of concepts, they'll do multiple different versions of the character. This concept that we're looking at that wasn't used is now filed away. And one day down the road, especially if this concept kind of made it through Disney approval, could be brushed off and then used in another card somewhere. So it's neat. But Sam Nielsen is an example of an artist who is not credited with a card right now, but has done a bunch of concept, which is very cool. Let's look at another one. Sorry. Yeah, Camille, like let me highlight this. Yes, I will say this. In talking to the Ravensburger team and Shane, they're actively looking for ways to highlight their concept artists.
But I will say they did get asked this question point blank, and they said that they could not answer it.
They did say they could not answer it. But yeah, right now. No, I see your comment there, Lumineers. No, yeah, so they're looking for ways to highlight their concept artists, whether it's an art book or some other way, because they're cognizant of the fact that for the card artists, they get to add this to their resume. They're out in public. They get to do signatures, and the concept folks are just as responsible for the success of the game and the quality of the artwork, but they don't get the recognition sometimes. So they're working on that. Yeah. So it's nice to shout them out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody recognize this artist? It's kind of dark, the lighting, but this is an artist who actually has worked on a card in the first set. This is the artist for Mulan, Mel Milton, a fantastic artist who also has done a lot of different concept work. Here, we didn't actually attend this brief.
Yeah. Sadly, we were headed to the airport at this point,
flying, but we had to take this picture for us, so I'm not sure if this is a concept he worked on, but here he's doing Maleficent. I think he did this from scratch. So within the span of, this is probably like 30 minutes in, he's generated this piece, and it's pretty great. But Mel Milton, fantastic artist, wonderful person. This was fun. I'll get one more piece, and this was from the first day. This is Bryan K Taylor. I don't have a terribly good shot of his piece because I was recording video of this, but this is him working on Captain Hook. And as Erin said, he took this from scratch all the way through this piece and used a ton of different pirate references, including John Silver. Yeah, he did do Hook with a blade for a hand, which we thought was fun. We're like, that's forceful duelist. But yeah, so anyway.
But he turned the whole, you can't really see it in this picture, but he turned the whole arm into like a mechanical piece.
That is true.
Rather than, in Forceful Duelist where you have like his all the way down to his wrist and then his hands. So that was really cool, kind of seeing how he interpreted that brief.
Yeah, fantastic giant robot arm, which you really, really wanted to do. So again, it's really cool. And if anybody has any questions, to summarize again, like the concept artist, huge part of the process. They provide the art directors, with what they need to go to Disney and say, hey, this is what we want to do with this character. We want to take this character in this direction. Here's our idea. And then Disney, the Disney has, gosh, I'm going to go too far into this, but Disney has people who are responsible for each individual character, for safeguarding, the character, making sure it's on model, making sure it's true to form for that particular character. So Hook, for example, will have a person assigned to them who knows that character inside and out. And they'll take a look at these concepts and be like, yes, I think this is a way we can go, or no, we don't want to do X, Y, and Z. We have to change it up, in this direction. Maybe this color is off, or this isn't true to their identity. And one example, which I think is delightful, I'm going to tell one story. One example I think is delightful is Shane talked about is Gaston. They had this idea for Gaston to make him smart, as we see in Floodborn. But what they ended up doing to be more true to the character, instead of taking him way out in left field and making a smart Gaston, this is Gaston that thinks he's smart. So he is still, and which is taking like one of his character traits and just amplifying it, right? It's not saying that he's, he's brilliant, but it's saying this is Gaston who is like convinced he's even smarter than
that he's better. Film. Interesting. Yeah, I unfortunately had to miss the second day because someone was having a little bit of a meltdown. So I only got to it was totally Liam.
It wasn't.
So I didn't get to actually watch the second day, but that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, so we're gonna work on a video for that and hopefully bring that to you you know, in the near future. We did get to do one other thing while we were out there that we just, you know, wanted to mention.
My favorite thing.
Yeah, we got to go to Disneyland with the little one,
which
was a treat. But we got to hang out for the day with Kenny Anderson, you know, who's all the way from Scotland, and it was so much fun. Kenny's first time in Disney, and so much fun, you know, visiting the park and taking a look at the characters that he was interpreting, and then looking at the various depictions and seeing how they met. It was a lot of fun. We did want to mention this too because we wanted to plug one of Kenny's books. Kenny actually did a Pirates of the Caribbean book for Disney.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. So apparently he, you know, as Liam mentioned, he's never been to Disney before, any of the Disneys, including Paris, because Kenny's from Scotland. And so he was given this brief by Disney, you know, to illustrate this book about the Caribbean, you know, given a brief, given videos, images of pirates. He's never actually been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So, you know, as we're, you know, pulling up to Disney, like he was like, first thing on the list, we're doing pirates. And we actually ended up riding pirates twice that day, I think. We rode Indiana Jones 3 times because he's a massive Indiana Jones fan. But
best ride.
It was a lot of fun. But it was really cool to get to experience that with him and get to see him see the ride in real life, something that he's illustrated and knows really intimately, but has never experienced in person. So he's also just like, again, with all the artists, just like one of the sweetest human beings on the planet. So
fantastic. So yes, and Kenny is a martial artist.
Yes.
One thing I'll say too, you know, plugging that Pirates book, all of these artists have, you know, personal projects, you know, other things they're working on, whether it's books or shows they've worked on. And if you find some of them like really appealing, like if you look and you're like, oh, Kaner Solu, you know, Cheshire Cat is amazing, I love that art, go out and find some of their books.
Yeah.
And some of their other work and check it out. And so Kenny Anderson's a perfect example. If you like his work in the first set, go find his little Pirates of the Caribbean Golden book. It's quintessential Kenny Anderson with the characters. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is really great. And what's so cool too is seeing the diversity in these artists' portfolios. I mean, here we go. Now we're going down the artist rabbit hole. I know everybody watching this is completely shocked. But I mean, to see the diversity in his portfolio, the stuff he does on Instagram and in his portfolio is so different than his art for Disney or his art for Lorcana. And it's just so cool to see how one artist's brain can create all of these different things. And anyway, but yeah, check out the artist's Instagram if we haven't, you know, hammered that home enough.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. So again, it was a fantastic weekend, and it explains why we're so tired right now. Videos are so far behind,
but also super jazzed.
But super jazzed. So once again, we're gonna get to some listener questions in a moment. Before we do, we're gonna have somebody help us answer some of our listener questions. Some of which he may be well equipped to answer, some of which he may not be. We're gonna ask anyway, and it's gonna be super fun. I'd like to welcome in Kendall. Speaking of artists we love.
Hi, Cam.
Hey.
It's so
How's it going?
It's
good
going.
to see you too.
It's going. Have you recovered from Miami yet? Because we're still recovering.
Just barely. Yeah, I had a little more recovery time than you.
That's fair.
We talked about you a lot this weekend at Lightbox.
Oh,
all good things. All good things.
All good things.
All good things.
Oh, good.
Mel and Kendall talked about you quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, Mel's great. Kendall's great too.
Yeah.
They both,
the Utah crowd.
Utah crowd. Yeah. So again, if anybody, Cam, you've got a cheering section in the comments here. If anybody has any questions for Cam, again, throughout the show, you know, feel free to ask. But the first one we were going to ask is some Lorcana cards actually beat us to it. You know, Cam, how was Miami for you? We haven't talked to you since then.
Yeah. Okay. Miami was cool. I've never been to Miami or even Florida. So just in general, Miami was cool, but the convention was awesome. on top of that.
And how did you enjoy your first game of Lorcana?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So a few people were nice enough to teach me Lorcana there. What was that, like Friday? No, that was that
It was while
Saturday.
we
No,
were
yeah, that was Friday.
It was Friday. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
While we were looking at vendors,
So, yeah, this was before the actual convention started the next day. Played my first game, played a Sapphire Steel deck.
Look at you
First
using
hand,
the
right? My first hand, I drew the Goons card. So that's what I had to play first because that felt right.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think I did see. I think I got a picture of that. Cabled, the gentleman who is teaching you how to play on your right hand side is in the chat right now.
Awesome, thank you. Excited. Did an excellent job teaching.
Very excited to see you here. Yeah, no, I don't know. It was fun for us. It was super fun. Yeah, seeing you get to meet the Lorcana fans and a lot of fans getting to meet you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And Goons is a surprisingly popular card, like for a common like everyone loves that card. It is.
Yeah, people call like that whole collection of cards Goons, just generally. It's like Kleenex.
Although like one cost or
how you say like Kleenex instead of tissue. People just call Goons, no matter if they're Goons or not.
One for a 2/2.
Shucks. That's cool. Yeah, since then I've played with my kids a bit.
Oh,
it's been fun. Yeah.
That's great.
Did they pick what are their favorite cards, out of curiosity? Do you like your cards?
No, that doesn't impress them much.
Like I drew that?
They know all about that now. They're done with that. I have one son who wants to make like an all Kronk and Kristoff deck, but you can't do all. So he wants Kronk and Kristoff to be like the main, and maybe Maui. Another kid who really likes Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. As they should, because that's an amazing, beautiful card.
Yeah, as one does.
Yes. Oh, John Lauren making beautiful art.
The other two, I don't think they've really said like ones they enjoy. But my wife really loves the Aurora card, where she's like in her kind of Briar Rose dress, not fancy dress, but she really loves that card. It's beautiful.
I'm blanking on the name of that. It is Briar Rose.
It is Briar Rose.
It is Aurora Briar Rose.
It's just Aurora Briar Rose.
I was like, I can't remember.
You're overthinking that.
That's funny. I will say on the Kronk, like all the what you mentioned, like the all Kronk deck, with house rules, you can do whatever you want.
True.
I'm pretty sure Christian Romero is going to build an all Sergeant Tibbs deck.
Oh yeah,
that's literally what he wants to do.
His obsession with Sergeant Tibbs, I don't. I mean, I get it. Sergeant Tibbs is a cool character, but he is like obsessed with Sergeant Tibbs. Throughout the weekend, as any of the artists pulled Sergeant Tibbs, they went like straight to Christian Romero because he loves the card. So, yeah, that was really funny to watch.
So if there's ever a Floodborn Sergeant Tibbs, if Ravensburger is in the house, keep Christian
that
in mind.
certain artist where you would love to work on.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the questions from Twitter today and see if Cam has any thoughts?
Questions. One thing I did want to ask though, I'm not sure if you caught our Lightbox discussion, but I'm worried we're not doing it justice for because we're not artists. We only crashed it. Have you been before?
I haven't.
Is it like CTN?
I've never been to CTN. What? I do believe though. I think it was in. My understanding is Lightbox was kind of in response to CTN. Possibly like they wanted to kind of improve upon it. So it definitely has I know it has an animation focus. That's its whole idea. It's the animation industry and artists working in that industry.
Now that you say that, that makes sense. It was like all the animation heavy hitters.
Yeah. I mean, it was really surreal walking around and seeing like Disney there and Pixar and Nickelodeon and Netflix, and then Ravensburger was there, and What is that, Kim, as an artist? So one of the big things that they were doing at all of these booths is they were doing portfolio reviews, like on the spot. Young artists were able to come up and have Disney review their portfolio like on the spot. And Ravensburger was doing the same thing. Have you, like, in your career as a young artist, like, experienced a portfolio review in person? What is that like for a young artist to have that sort of like live feedback on your work?
Most of my experience when I was starting was more one-on-one with other artists I met online, and I would interact with them just through email or whatever and get their feedback on my art.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got sort of critiques and things in art school. It might be a similar sort of experience of how it feels, at least. But I think it's a really cool opportunity that they can go and get that direct feedback of exactly what these studios are looking for in a portfolio. I mean, that's awesome. That's, you know, that's like if you could go to whatever job you're thinking of getting and saying, what sort of person are you looking for? They'd be like, oh, this and this and this. Okay, I'll be back in a little bit, you know, once I've acquired those skills.
That is really cool. Yeah, it seemed, I did turn to Liam in the so Ravensburger did 3 talks throughout the weekend. And in the first talk on Friday, I was texting Liam because I was at the back and he was at the front. And I was like, we are easily the oldest people in this crowd by about 10 years.
100%.
So it was really cool to see all of these just young artists straight out of school, you know, trying to make network and yeah, find jobs in a profession that they love. So
yeah, that's cool.
So Kim, do you want to help us answer some listener questions?
Yeah, can I ask you a question and then we can get into those?
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there like while you were in Miami, there's like 12 artists there, 12 Lorcana artists. So like I'm assuming there's probably one that was just really enjoyable to be around, like maybe just really cool. I don't know, just a great person. You're like, that's like the sort of person we'd want to just hop in on a live stream. We just want to spend all our time with that person.
Yeah.
You know, I would feel uncomfortable, like right out loud, picking a favorite, because, you know,
I was like, you're trying to get us in trouble.
But, you know, hypothetically, if you could look for indicators about which one it is, and perhaps it would be
the first one who came on after
maybe the first artist who came on one of our live streams after Miami, possibly, but I don't want to name names.
All right, we'll leave it up to mystery.
There were, you know, at the convention there were 3 like Kens, kind of people with Ken in their name, and you know.
Oh, Kendall, Ken.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There you go. Good job.
But no,
the Kens were strong.
Yes,
the Kens were strong. Yes, it's very on brand for Barbie movie year. I just want that. I don't know what I'm
there.
Gonna get us in trouble, Cam.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Our Insta's gonna start blowing up from all the other artists being like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. Everybody else is here. Yeah.
We love you all.
We love everyone. So we, you know, being a little behind on this week's show, we know we did have this idea. We put on Twitter, hey, if you have any questions, let us know, and we'll go through a listener question segment. I see listener, viewer, people, follower,
consumer
question, consumer. And so we'll just answer all of us. This one was, I actually picked this one for a reason because I had something I want to highlight. But Cam, for Lorcana goodies or goodies maybe from Miami, do you have any particular card or anything that you're that's a favorite of yours?
A favorite goodie?
Lorcana related.
I don't know what that means. I feel perplexed by this question. Your favorite goodie you've added to the collection?
I assume you've collected some Lorcana swag by now. I'll show you mine because I actually picked this one for a reason because I thought it was fun. I hope this catches. So this is a card that I had signed out at LightBox, and it's a Jafar. What I loved about it is I had an opportunity to get it signed by both the concept artist and the final artist. And to me, I know some people that's not their cup of tea because the concept artist isn't credited.
Yeah.
But it was really cool having both the artists who were responsible for creating this card as it went through. So anyway, I just wanted to give that shout out to the concept artists again.
That's way cool. Who's the concept artist on there? Do you remember their name?
Bryan K Taylor. Yeah,
Bryan K Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then Jake Parker finished it up.
Jake Parker's a good friend. You should have Jake Parker on here.
He's Jake Parker has
working on it.
Yeah, working on it. Jake Parker has an open invitation. You send him the link and we'll bring him on in.
Yeah, he's great. He's been a good artist friend of mine. He's one of the artists I turned to in the beginning to get feedback, and he's really helped me out a lot in my career. So big shout out to Jake.
Oh, that's awesome. So now we have
I think he did Kronk as well.
He did.
He did. And I love his son's an artist. And
yeah.
They look a lot alike. Apparently, Jake, well, we did it too, so not apparently. Jake was off speaking in a panel and his son was manning the booth and everybody thought he was Jake Parker.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, his son. But we did buy one of his books because
because it was cool.
Oh, cool.
Actually, we got all Jake's books eventually.
Yeah.
You weren't there to stop me. Let's move on. We have a couple more questions, then we have some other fun stuff to do. Kingdom Hearts. Have you played Kingdom Hearts, Cam? Are you familiar with it?
I haven't. I've played Smash, and that has a Kingdom Hearts character in it.
That is true. That counts.
But that's as close as I got. I know about Kingdom Hearts, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So this question's about people speculating about Kingdom Hearts. And so the question is, what are the top 5 like crossovers we'd love to see in the Lorcana world, acknowledging that they might not happen? Kingdom Hearts being an example. I'll go first. The first one that pops into my mind is Studio Ghibli. I'm going to call that a crossover. It's not a Disney property, but they kind of work together, and that would be amazing. To see Totoro in there, and I think it fits vibe. But Cam, do you have any? If you were king of Lorcana for a day, do you have any crossovers you'd try to make happen?
I feel like you just stole the best one. How could I top? Oh, that's really good. Like, this is just wild. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Anything? Okay.
Really?
All right. Let me just think here. Something. Thundercats.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, and it's really cool. I love Thundercats.
I agree. Any Thundercats fans?
This was not on purpose.
Yeah.
But I got my Thundercats shirt on.
Oh, nice.
Some of those live.
Wow.
This is not
It's like we set that up.
I think I heard somebody else mention this, maybe at Miami. I don't know. We were talking about Star Wars, which obviously I really want to see we actually have a plushie like this, but I really want to see like classic Disney characters cosplaying as Star Wars characters in Lorcana. So like Mickey dressed as Yoda, type of thing. I think that would be fun.
That would be good.
As like Floodborn type of thing.
It's interesting. Like from a lore perspective, it's totally doable because the idea is, people are coming from our world and they're imagining these characters, and with a dream world, they're putting their own spin on them. So some Illuminator could go out there and be like, I want Mickey Darth Vader. Or Donald Duck Thundercat. Or Thundercat.
Or somebody dressed as Totoro.
Yeah, somebody dressed as Totoro.
I don't know what classic Disney character would be good as Totoro. Maybe Donald Duck.
Okay, I'm gonna change my answer.
Okay.
This is a little more realistic, but I'm gonna say it, and then I'm gonna say I don't actually want it. Rocket and Groot, somewhere in there. Baby Groot, But I actually don't want those in that game. But it came to my mind as something cool. I feel like they could almost fit in there,
They could actually. They have the same, if not the same art, like the same vibe.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Beast is Totoro. That's interesting. Sorry, saw that in the chat.
Yeah, happy chappy. I do think there's, down the road, there's room for so that in the lore, like the story stars and the Illuminary are described as being in a pocket universe, which probably contains all of these different, properties. So there's definitely, everybody. Totoro apparently is popular. I think it's possible to make, like, pocket universes collide and we get characters from somewhere else.
Speaking of Totoro, can I do a really quick shout out? Sorry, we're very scatterbrained tonight. This is what happens when we only have one guest. Shout out to Marcel Berg for bringing a little Totoro plushie for Olena all the way from Germany.
Yeah, that was very sweet. It was very nice. It made the first day fantastic.
All right, okay. Marcel's your favorite. He's cool. That's fine. He earned it. He's pretty great.
He's in the top 12 artists that we've met in person.
You just booted Mel out there.
Within the top 20 artists we've met in person. Oh, that's awesome. Cam getting a shout outs in the chat. Thanks for being here. Wonder what newsletter this. You'll have to send us a note of what newsletter this is.
Yeah.
So we can share it. Because now I'm curious and I'd love to read this newsletter. So thanks. Oh, he's a Patreon supporter of yours, Cam.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So okay, so this is a little more technical, Cam, and I'm interested to hear your answer as well. Somebody was asking with ink colors becoming more well-rounded and more cards, getting added to the pool and Rise of the Floodborn, will monocolored decks ever show up as like competitive decks, basically, or are monocolored decks strictly worse than two-color decks?
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is a technical answer. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't played it that much, but I assume if people are really getting in on the, as the card pool expands, that seems like that'd be more feasible, right? As it gets bigger and bigger.
It's definitely more feasible. It's possible. I think it's definitely feasible.
I don't know what the upside, like.
The only way I think there's an upside is if there's like cards that are built to have very specific synergies, like the bounce package, and you want to include all those cards. The reason I will say I don't think it'll happen is because there will always be like one card which is just great, which you want to include in any deck you can.
Right.
Which for me is like Friends on the Other Side, which is a card game that draws 2 cards. Yeah. And for me, I want to play that in every deck ever. So even if I had a monocolored deck, I would just throw that one card in there just to make it better.
And that's exactly why I'm like, I don't know if monocolored decks will I mean, you could do them, but I don't necessarily know that will be like a rampant thing. I mean, I think people will do them just to prove that they can do them, but like you might just have that one other colored card. And
I take it back. Christian Romero is building his Sergeant Tibbs deck, which will be monocolored. So maybe that'll. That's fair. That's fair. What a catchy
breaking
deck.
several rules.
All the rules. All right.
I mean, there are no Steel Maleficent cards, are there? They're all like Sapphire and Amethyst. Is that right?
Yeah, they're all Sapphire and Amethyst right now.
So my ideal deck is 1 Maleficent card, 59 Goon cards. So if there's a Steel Maleficent, then it's all Steel.
I remember you making that joke at Lightbox, and I want to do a video, at Miami. And so I want to do a video with like your Goon deck with Maleficent versus Christian's like artist design, their ideal decks.
But
that would be pretty great.
One captain, like all Sergeant Tibbs and one captain.
Oh, one captain.
That's captain.
Perfect. That's perfect. Captain and Sergeant Tibbs. Perfect. All right, we're gonna make this happen. So funny. We're gonna make this happen. Stephen had a question about events that we visit. I mean, this is I don't know. How do we find out about Lightbox? I don't know.
How did we find out about Lightbox? Well, we kind of had heard of it before, but it really got on our radar when Luis Huerta told us about it when we interviewed him last November. And ever since then, we were like, we want to go to Lightbox. So, but how do we choose our events? Events that sound fun. I don't know. Right now, we fun so much.
I'm like, if Ravensburger is there or Ravensburger or a Lorcana artist, it's like it's on the radar, and then if we can make it happen, we make it happen.
So does that mean you're going to come to Houston in February?
Oh yeah, no, we already have
down the road.
Yeah, I already talked to Kendall. I picked out a restaurant. We're having dinner reservations.
Yep.
What?
Sorry, I should have texted you that I should have messaged you that this weekend. I'm making
I
dinner
see
reservations for my favorite Mexican restaurant.
I see whose Kendall is. I see what's going on here.
You weren't
Well,
at
we saw Kendall at
LightBox.
LightBox. This is a problem.
Oh, now I know why you didn't answer that question. It's all making a lot of sense.
You're here. That's all I'm saying. Like you're. So Knive, so to highlight this question here. So in Houston, it's TCG Con Houston, and it's mostly focused on Magic. I think we went last year, but it sounds like a few Lorcana artists are going to be there. Cam making the trip, yeah.
Yep.
And I think Kendall is going as well. Is there anybody else going right now?
I know of some, but I don't know that they've been announced, so I don't know if I can.
That's okay.
Mum's the word.
Or maybe I don't know of any.
Mum's the word. Yeah, no worries. So anyway, so there will be at least 2 Lorcana artists, I think, one or two that we know about in Houston. So, yeah. Cam, since you're here, and you are an accomplished and prolific Lorcana artist, can you help us take a look at some new art?
Yeah.
Are you willing to? Because there's a card, there's a Lorcana. So for everybody watching, we delve deep into the Lorcana art as it's revealed. We find little lore and tips and whatever. And there's a card that I saw just very, very, very briefly recently that I haven't had time to dig into yet.
And we have a professional artist here who can help us analyze this card.
Yeah,
this is so intriguing. You guys are really setting this up well.
How do you feel about Princess and the Frog?
Oh, I've never watched that movie.
That's okay. That makes it even better because you can come at it from
fresh eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh goodness, people are upset.
I will say I want to watch it though.
Yeah. Well, now you'll have to.
Whoa.
Yeah. We have had, so to be clear, Cam, you are one of the first people in the world to see this card revealed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is brand new. We're so excited. The Lorcana team.
Can you blow up our screen? 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, the Lorcana team allowed us to spoil this card and share this with you all. We're so excited. This is fantastic. What do you, at first thoughts, Cam? I mean, we're the Illuminateers, so we look at the art first. What do you think?
Okay, so 100%, I had no idea this was coming. I didn't know what this card was going to be. I have never seen this before, and I'm legitimately blown away by this art. Like, legitimately, that is gorgeous.
It is really beautiful.
The texture and the colors going on in the pot alone. I'm staring at the pot and just I'm mesmerized by the texture and color of that pot. But then you go up a little bit and you're like, but look at the colors in the gumbo. That's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the magic stuff and then the floating vegetables. That's truly a gorgeous piece of art.
And it looks like even the spoon has kind of having magical because that little sapphire bit there kind of makes it look like the spoon may be moving on its own.
Yeah.
So okay, from a technical perspective, we can exert this card to remove 1 damage each from up to 2 chosen characters.
Mm-hmm.
So Liam, from a technical perspective, because Cam and I are like, ooh, pretty art.
I like pretty art too. I will say, before I move on from the art, Tanisha has done 2 other cards that tracking. People correct me if I'm wrong, but the 2 that I'm tracking are the Moana, which we absolutely love. The
so
ruby
gorgeous.
Moana with the waves and the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I'm off the top of my head, I think Fishbone Quill as well.
Yeah. Yes, because you know what? It's actually really eerie. We were just talking about her yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we looked it up, and it was Fishbone Quill and the Moana.
Team Lorcana is listening to our conversations. So anyway, so the art, fantastic. And she's just a brilliant artist. From a technical perspective, what I will say, I mean, it's a common. So it's clearly not going to be one of the most powerful cards in the set. What I love about this, I love any card that allows you to do something with any character, especially to benefit any character, because it means it's useful in multiplayer. That's what I love about this card. I think multiplayer formats are going to become more and more popular, specifically team formats. It's my favorite way to play is 2v2. And when you have a card that can remove 1 damage from 2 chosen characters, that means potentially you and your teammate. And I love that. The other fun thing you can do with healing stuff, if you're playing, especially in like a multiplayer game, because you wouldn't do this in a single player game really, but if an opponent is setting up for like a Rapunzel, like heal or whatever, you can also mess them up a little bit by removing their damage. But I love this because this reads like a multiplayer card, a team player multiplayer card.
Yeah, this is genuinely gorgeous. The dark moodiness of it, and I'm excited about that ability. That's pretty cool. I mean, I've only played a few games now, but I can dig it.
Having worked, so one of the things they went over at LightBox was the color identities and the predominant shapes, and then kind of how the colors are reflected in the art. They showed us this slide with all this stuff, and it's really cool. Do you see Sapphire how do you see Sapphire presented here? How is
outside of just the blue?
Yeah, I mean, there's these. Yeah, so oh man, if I get this wrong, people are gonna jump on me. Anyway, Sapphire is represented by these like sacred geometry shapes, so circles and things like that. So you can see in the magic, there's all these circles and swirls that are representing that shape. That shape is representing that ink. I think that's the main indicator of Sapphire. Can you hear my kids yelling?
We can, but that's okay.
Okay,
we got
Sweet.
Got a little one.
Ambiance.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you can kind of see they did a really cool thing with each of the cards where you have the card title. You know, it's backed by the ink color, and then in that ink color are the shapes that represent that ink. So Sapphire has these big swooping, swirling, circular shapes.
You know, one thing I'm looking at in the card cam that I don't know why there has to be meaning behind it, because what I love about art is everything is intentional. Like things happen for a reason. But when you look at the rim of the pot, there's like almost an indentation on it on the front.
Mm-hmm.
How it kind of, do you see that like kind of bump almost?
Yeah, it's dented.
And I wonder what that is about. Like, is that trying to enhance that shape language of Sapphire?
I don't know for sure, but I like it.
Yeah, no, it adds to that texture, but it has to be there for a reason. And so, man, I don't know.
And I tell you what, if you could smell a card, like I can just smell
the bump is from the
gumbo.
movie.
I was thinking like some of these cards are probably challenging to interpret. Like if you get Airy Welly with the Dingle Hopper, like do a fork. Another one where it's like gumbo, and you're like, how do I do that and make it fantastic? And this one just
she did it.
I one more question. Where do you think the spot foiling is going to go on this? Probably in the blue, like the smoke and the inside and the dark.
I think it'll be the blue smoke, and then I think they'll probably foil the rim of the pot.
Oh,
like you can see the rim of the pot has a little bit of sheen to it. I think they'll foil that.
So we're getting a note that the Den of the Pop is actually canonical. It's from the movie.
Oh, see, I should have watched the movie.
Yeah, I've only seen it one time. It's a little bit, but so I've actually only seen it one time all the way through. But I've watched the opening song a bajillion times.
Oh yeah.
Also, shout out to Gamecast Lost in our local game store. Well, there you are, Kim. That was thanks for doing that with us. That was such a treat.
It was a treat for me.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah.
Artist live reaction to cards.
Yeah, card art.
You picked a great one. This genuinely blows my mind, which I didn't think I would ever say about a pot of soup.
Ravensburger literally sent it to Liam like 30 minutes before we went live.
We only knew about it a little bit before, so just huge thank you to the Ravensburger for letting us do this. Yeah. Like when we started streaming, like the idea that we would ever be able to spoil a card was like mind blowing to us, and like
it was like on our New Year's resolutions. I think this year was that we were going to get to spoil a card at some point. So
this is like,
and then to get to spoil it with you, Cam, and like get your it's been lovely.
You two deserve it. 110%. 1000% you deserve it. I would say one of the highlights of Miami, bam, these two.
Aw,
Easy.
you're so
So you were so pleasant and enjoyable and just warm and inviting. I felt like if I hadn't known anybody else there, I would have at least felt like I knew you two. Like,
Aw.
it's like, oh, hey, I've
Thanks.
known you guys for a bajillion years. Sure. Because that's just how it
You're,
felt.
you're trying to make me cry on stream.
And your baby's adorable.
I am a
Yeah,
crier.
we'll keep her around.
Um,
We'll keep her
no,
around.
thanks for that. Feeling is mutual. Anyway, it was great. And this was
These
was
last
fun.
2 weeks, I swear, I think these last 2 weeks have been what we spent the last year working for. And it was a dream come true and so surreal that it actually happened. I can't believe I mentioned it at one point in Miami, but we're just so honored that you and the other artists allow us to come on this journey with you and to watch you go on this journey. And the fact that we got to experience some of the things that we did and see you all experience cards for the first time was everything and more that we could have possibly imagined that this whole experience would have led to. And so thank you for letting us be a part of your story and your work. And we're just so grateful.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
All right, everyone.
Feels good.
We have,
All right.
we have one more thing. One more piece of business we need to take care of. And 2 more pieces of business we need to take care of. First, for anybody here, I think in 30 minutes after we end, you should head on over to the Inkwell and check out This Week in Ink, which is hosted by Jonty of the Inkwell and Brandon of B Squared. They've been here in the chat supporting us, so definitely go check them out. Should be a fun evening there. Second piece we have to take care of is artist Kenneth Anderson was gracious enough to sign a Tigger for us to give away. And we wanted to see what it looked like in orange because Tigger, and it looks great. So we ran a little contest on Twitter. I'm using this new funny app to kind of pull the winner.
Cool.
So let's see. All right. The winner, according to my little funny app here, is Alex Kent at Alex K245. So at Alex K. And I think I can view his entry here. Alex K. No, I can't. Anyway, it says,
K, if you're on the chat, let us know.
Yeah, he's probably a character, but yeah. So we have some more signed cards maybe to give away. And just follow our Twitter or whatever. Anyway. That's it for.
So before we finally turn off, Cam, where can people find you on the socials?
I am Cam Kendall everywhere. Okay. Just make sure you spell Kendall Kendell, and then you'll
Very
find
on
me.
the nose. Look for the gnome.
Look for the gnome. It's different than Kendall spells his first name, which messes me up every time.
Yeah, ALL.
He spells it wrong. I know.
What?
I know.
What is he thinking?
I know. Anyway, so definitely follow Cam if you're watching. And I don't know. We care about wrapping up.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, everybody, we're gonna sign off catchphrase. I'm gonna say it, and Liam's gonna